So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to change your strings. And one of the biggest things that bugs me the most about guitar players is when they don't know how to change their strings. And it gets under my skin whenever I'll meet a cat that's been playing for a while and they still take their guitar to someone to get their strings changed. But it's a very valuable trick to know. It's really easy. It's not as hard as it seems. And really, there's no point on paying someone else to restring your own guitar. So I mean, why pay some hack $20 plus the cost of strings to restring it? So I'm going to show you all the different things that you need in different ways to approach your string change. And this is my kind of tried and true method. It works for me, and since I started doing it this way, I haven't broken a string in 2-3 years. But before we get going, let's talk about the tools that we're going to need. First, we're going to need new strings. Duh. We're going to need wire cutters to snip off the strings, and we're going to need a peg winder. This is just a standard peg winder. You can get it at Guitar Center, any music shop. I mean, I think even Walmart and Target sells it these days. But I'm going to show you how to use it with this, you know, the old-fashioned way with elbow grease. But also, show you how to use it with a drill and with this particular bit. Now, what this bit is just a regular drill bit on the end, but it's to fit onto your strings and onto your tuning keys. You can get these at Guitar Center. You can order them online, a lot of different places. But it's a really handy tool, and it speeds up the process a lot. Cuts the time in half doing it. So let's get going. Let's go ahead and take out our strings. What I'll do is I'm using Diodarios. You can use whatever you want, but for me, these what work. Everybody has their own preference, and if you're just now getting started, then you know, try different companies and see which one you like. But for me, these are what work. So I'm gonna trash those. Start off. Now, when you're doing it, what people like to do when they first change their strings is they want to take all their strings off at once. There's a time and place for that, but if you're just trying to quickly change your strings, I wouldn't do it, because why you're going to take all your strings off is if you're going to reset up your guitar. But if you don't want to reset it up and you like the way it plays, then I would just go one by one. So let's go ahead and get the strings out. What Diodario does, they go ahead and they package them in twos. So your first and second string will be wound up together. So I'm just going to unwind them. Now I'm going to show you how to use the regular peg winder by hand for the first couple strings. After that, I'm going to switch it over to the drill just to speed it up, but it's going to be the exact same process. So let's go ahead and get these off. So it just takes a little bit, and then once you get it, you don't have to unwind it all the way. You know, once you have a little slack, you can take it and just unwind it by hand. Plus, it kind of saves the life of your tuning machines. Just going to take it and thread it out. Now, the way you feed these in, this is just a standard stop tail wraparound piece, and what I'm working on today is a Paul Reed Smith McCarty. Whether you use a Les Paul or a Strat style or a Telecaster style, whatever the case, they all feed in pretty much the same. But let's take a look at this. For this particular guitar, I'm going to take the string without a ball. This is called the ball end right here. I'm going to take the side without the ball. I'm going to run it through, feed it through here. If I can get it. Pull it all the way through to where the ball end is in the chamber. Bring it out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this end without the ball, and I'm going to feed it through my tuning post. Okay, and this is where a lot of people get into trouble when they first start, is they give it too much slack and it takes some days to wind it up, or they don't give it enough and then they pop their string. So a good safe unit of measurement is you feed it through, and the enough slack you want is, you know, probably about 6 inches off your fretboard. That'll give you a good amount of wraps around the post, and it'll be good for tension's sake. So what I'll do now is, once I feel that I have good slack, I'll take my left hand. If you're right-handed like me, then I'll take my left hand and kind of pinch it off at the nut to where it's not moving, and then I'll grab my tuning, my peg winder. So once I have my peg winder, I'm going to take it, and when you do this, you want to make sure that you have a nice, consistent, even wrap so that the strings will wrap up nice and evenly. So you don't want to go real fast and then go real slow. Try to go just a nice, consistent pace. So let's do that. And when you do it, how I like to do it is I'm going to leave this thread on top. You don't want it to get to wrap up underneath the string and be real messy. So whenever it wraps up, it's going to wrap up nice and evenly, and it's going to be a clean wrap. So let's take a look at it. Okay, and the main goal what you want to focus on is keep spinning. And by doing that, your strings are going to wrap up from the bottom up on the post. And up. Check it, still low. Okay. Okay, so now that I have the string on, you can see it's a nice clean wrap coming all the way up. But what you want to do for tension purposes on your neck, you want to tune this string back up to pitch. So assuming that your guitar is already in tune when you do this, you want to tune it up to pitch so it keeps the same tension on the neck. Because if you think about it, when you string up your strings, there's pounds per pressure going throughout the neck, and it's causing your neck to bow, to bend. But there's also a rod in here that compensates, that backlashes it to keep your neck straight. So the longer you have your strings off, the more chances you have for your neck to move. So that's why we tune it back up to pitch. Okay, so now we have that, and I have my wrap here nice and evenly. I'll go ahead and take my string and just kind of bend it. I'll take it and bend it to where it's out of the way, and then we'll rinse, wash, and repeat with all the strings. So let's move on to the second string. Exact same process. And it's really easy. It just takes a couple attempts to do and to get it done. But you know, after you do it, you say, why have I been paying somebody to do this all this time? Nope. And one thing you want to note, be careful because the ends of these are sharp and they will stick you. So we'll pull it out. Okay. Put that out there. Exact same thing. We're going to take this. Make sure the ball end is right in the socket. Now we're going to take this and feed it through the post. Pull it through. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll pull it, not real tight, but to where it's straight and even. And then I'll go ahead and put my left hand by the nut, like I mentioned, and then kind of make sure I have enough slack. That seems like a good amount. And really with this, you just want to eyeball it. Take it. Now, go back to winding it up. And you don't have to go super fast, but you do want to give it a nice, even, consistent turn. Same thing, we're going to take it and tune it to pitch. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfectly in tune, just kind of in the ballpark. Now that I have that, once again, I'm going to take this excess, but bend it off. Okay, and just to get them out of the way, I'll kind of take them and tuck them underneath the tuning keys, if they want to. Sometimes they don't. I'm going to switch over to the drill, because it's a little bit faster, but it is the exact same principles and techniques used. And if you have a drill, go ahead and get one. It's going to make your life easier. And it's going to cut your restring time in about half. All right. But with this particular drill, you don't want to go super fast and then wear out your keys. So I'm going to give it a nice slow pace. Just to make sure that it gets off the string. All right, put it off, do our string. The exact same process. All right, now we're on the G. We're gonna take it and feed it through. Pull it up, through the post. Check the slack, looks pretty good. Left hand on the nut, right hand on the drill. Make sure our drill is going in the right direction. Take it at a nice slow pace. You don't want to go so fast and wear out your key. But something that works really well instead of a drill, an actual drill like this, it's made by Black & Decker. It's the portable screwdriver, the handheld screwdriver. And as you can see, I'm already there. So it's very quick, very easy. Whoa. Bring it back to tune. Check the other ones, just for good measure. And I'll take it, I'll bend it off. And there's a reason I'm bending this off, and I'll get there and explain it when the time comes. Okay, do the exact same thing with our D string. You can take it and just unwind it by hand. All right, and if you notice what my neck is resting on, this is called a neck cradle. And all it really does is just kind of gets your neck up off the air and your headstock to where you have free access to get to your keys. Same thing, we're gonna feed it through here, feed it through the bridge. And now we're gonna feed it through the tuning key. Take it, we're gonna check the slack. Looks pretty good. All right. Now, we're gonna wind it up. Make sure you go the right way though. Now, something to note is if you notice on this particular guitar, if you have 3 keys per side, you want your strings to wrap up the inside of the post going out, never on the outside of the post wrapping in. So remember, if you notice, these are all going outside the post, wrapping around. You notice it's nice and even wrapping from the bottom up. Okay. Now that it's on, pretty painless. Let's check it. A little bit high. Okay, notice this is out of tune, so I'm gonna go ahead and tune the string back up. All right, take it, bend it, on to the next. And remember what I said, whenever you're unwinding, if you choose to use the drill, you don't want to just let it keep spinning and spinning and spinning until the string kind of does it itself. Go just enough to where it's loose, to where you can unwrap it by hand. And you'll save the life on your keys. All right. Now we're down to our A string. And one of the things I like about Diodario is, if you notice, every single one of their ball ends are a different color, and it's coordinated for the particular string. So it makes it easy. But if using other companies where they just have all the same color of the ball end, sometimes makes it hard to guess and eyeball if you have them all out, which is the right gauge. So now we fed it through the bridge. Let's feed it through here. All right, put in the nut, check the slack. Okay, I'm gonna pinch it off at the nut. All right. Okay. All right. Let's check it. Okay. Now, take it and bend it. Now we're on to the last string. Let's get this thing off. All right, just enough. So now I can take it and I can unwrap it. All right. All right, let's take it. Feed it through just the same. Like I say, I just want to kind of eyeball it. You know, just give it about 6 inches. All right. All right, so we're on. Let's get that out of the way. All right, so we have it. It's roughly in tune. We're gonna take it. We're gonna bend it. Now, what a lot of people don't do, and this is a very critical part of changing your strings. A lot of people look over, they don't understand. They'll put their strings on and they'll play it, and it'll take them 2 days before the thing will stay in tune. The reason why is because they're not stretching their strings. And the reason why a string goes out of tune is because either A, it stretches somewhere along the string, or something moves. So what we can do as a precaution to alleviate that is you can take anything. You know, for now, this is what I have handy, just a notepad. You can use a towel, something soft and rubber. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this, we're gonna lay it over the bridge. Okay, so if you're right-handed, then you're going to cover it with your left hand. And now with your right hand, you're gonna get under the strings and just kind of take it and just stretch it. Just give it a tug. You don't wanna pull real hard, but just enough to where you can feel the string stretching from the different points. Okay, you're gonna do that with each string. What this does is going to make your life a lot easier whenever you restring them, and your guitar is going to sound better and give a lot more accurate, consistent tune. You know, this is the trick that I learned working in a music store, and learned a lot from that owner. It taught me a lot of little tricks of repairing guitars and working on them, and just little things that you would look over and common sense things that you wouldn't even think. But they make all the difference. Okay, so now that we have them stretched, not quite done yet, there's a few other points I'd like to show you to stretch, and that's one behind the nut. And all I'm doing is I'm not really pushing hard, but just enough to make sure all the points on each string is stretched. And this goes the same, you know, whether it be an electric guitar, an acoustic guitar, or even a bass. You always want to stretch your strings after you put them on. Because what you'll be doing is you'll have tuning issues, and you're not even going to notice the better sound quality of the fresh new strings. So I'll do that, just kind of a once over. Now I'll come down and do it by the bridge. I just push down here. This doesn't hurt the guitar, doesn't hurt the strings. You know, these things were meant to be played on and stretched and used and abused. So I take them, stretch them. Okay. Now after we have that, we feel we have a good stretch. I'll go ahead and I'll grab a tuner. Now this is just a clip-on tuner and it works really well. Go ahead and clip it on. And I'll tune my guitar. Okay, and now it doesn't have to be perfect yet, just kind of get it close in the ballpark. All right. Now, finally, what we're getting to is we're going to snip these off. And one thing that bugs me to death is seeing players that they'll leave these things hanging and flopping around. They'll tie them up. To me, it just looks bad, and it takes away from the beauty of a guitar. Another thing is if you leave it out hanging, these things are moving. And like I said earlier, what causes your strings to go out of tune is something moving. So when these things are flapping back here, it's going to cause a shift. So you might as well cut them off. So just get regular wire cutters, any old ones will do. Kind of take them, snip them off, okay. All right, so now that we have them cut, it would seem that we're done, but just for safety problems and saving yourself the trouble of getting poked, when you cut your strings off, it gets really sharp. So if you have wire cutters and you have a rubber end on them like this, just take your rubber end of the wire cutters and push down on the string. Kind of get those out of the way. It's where you won't ever poke your finger whenever you're trying to tune your strings. So after it's all said and done, we have that. Go ahead and tune it back up. So see how easy it was after we're all done. Was that worth paying someone else to do it? For me, it's an easy answer, and no. But that is the steps, the tried and true way to restring an electric guitar.